It's safe to assume that the public is now becoming aware of some of the past actions of our governments. These have been made public via a number of networks, mostly declassification channels, and have given us insight into the methods and motivations of government officials conducting these tests. Over the years, many explanations have been proposed as to why our governments conducted these kinds of experiments, and most of the responses point to the desire to further our understanding. 99% of the time, when people initially questioned our governments about these experiments, they denied that they were ever doing anything and called those who sought answers theories. Those who wish to delve deeper are nearly insulted by this moniker, which has persisted into the present era. Take Project MK Ultra, for example. MK Ultra sought to alter a person's mind to gain control over them. In other words, the US government and CIA were working together to use mind control as a kind of weapon. Those who questioned their true intentions were turned down and labeled as crazy or conspiracy theories. The irony being that it could be argued that the scientists behind the MK Ultra project were actually the crazy ones, and those who said that the United States government were conducting mind control experiments were actually the ones in the right. This has happened time and time again throughout history. Someone says something that sounds crazy. They are then labeled as being delusional or a conspiracy theorist. But then eventually the truth comes out, and what they were saying the whole time was actually the truth. This is just one example. It's no secret that scientists have gone past that ethical line in the name of research, and one that's at the center of many theories is animal hybrids. One interesting experiment that's allegedly been carried out by some of the world's best scientists is that of the human Z. One US scientist claimed that it's being done, and that scientists and researchers have managed to breed a human and a chimp to create the human Z. Psychologist Gordon G. Gupp Jr. detailed that he was talking with a former professor when he said he'd been involved with some interesting research, and this centered around creating a hybrid chimp. This happened at an animal research lab. It's a known fact that human and chimp DNA is very similar. In fact, evolutionary biologists have said that humans and chimps share 98.8% of their DNA. Gordon Gallup went on to note, though, that this hybrid was created in secret. He said that years of research showed the team that it's possible that this hybrid could exist, and so they went ahead and created it. Gordon said it was done by artificial insemination. The creature that was birthed was then called a human Z. The scientists, however, implications of the project and what this creature would turn into. Gordon said the project was soon stopped and that the human seal was wiped out. When questioned about the story, Gordon said that it came from a scientist that he knew very well. Gordon said that it came from a scientist that he knew very well and that this individual was someone he trusted and who had a credible record. When researchers questioned the primate center where the tests were allegedly carried out, they denied that this happened. Not really surprising when you consider that what they were doing was probably done with the utmost secret, and those involved were probably sworn to secrecy. Those that have looked into the story have said it may have been the case that those working at the primate center may not have been aware this was going on, and that the scientists involved in creating the human Z may have taken precautions so the tests wouldn't be exposed. Gordon said the following about the project. In the matter of days or a few weeks, they began to consider the moral and ethical considerations, and the infant was put down. He told me the rumors were true, and he was a credible scientist in his own right. End quote. As of right now, he has no hard evidence that these tests were carried out. But as some have said, for every secret project we know about, there's probably dozens that will never see the light. When you think that the mind control experiments were happening over 60 years ago, you can't help but wonder what other tests and experiments have been conducted. Interestingly, going back a few years ago, biologists took it upon themselves to carry out a test which would show them what a chicken and dinosaur hybrid would look like. This is the first step in understanding how we could create a 21st century dinosaur and what the creature would look like. The scientists working on the project were able to isolate clusters of genes that aid in facial development. The team was then able to discover a way of stopping them in the chicken's embryos, and after doing this, what they were left with was an animal that looked very similar to what a velociraptor would have looked like. The lead author of the study, Barden Drivela, from Yale University said the following: "We not set out to create a dinosaur chicken. When examining an important evolutionary transformation, we wanted to find out about the underlying process. The beak is part of the avian skeleton that most extensively and radically diverse. We wanted to find out if the beak was functional. The scientists wanted to highlight the fact that the beaks develop in a much different way to snout. This is due to the fact that they employ distinct gene sets. This demonstrates that the beak is an adaptation rather than a marginally different nose shape. I think the transition from snout to beak happened about 40 to 50 million years after the archaeologist thinks, stated Michael Benton of Bristol University in the United Kingdom. The scientists have stated that they do not yet have any intentions to hatch these raptors like chickens. The experts continued by saying, these weren't significant changes. Compared to many chicken varieties created poultry hobbyists, they are much less strange. Although the remainder of the animal appeared to be in good condition, one must carefully consider this from an ethical standpoint, concludes the quotation. If you're fascinated by unsolved mysteries and enjoying the video so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up to stay updated on all our latest content. Moving on to the next mystery. Ray Gricker. From 1985 until 2005, Ray Gricker, an American attorney, served as the district attorney for Centre County, Pennsylvania. He held this position until his disappearance on April 15, 2005, when he was last seen or heard from. On the morning of April 15, 2005, at around 11:30 a.m., Gricker called his girlfriend to inform her that he was driving through the Brush Valley area, not far from their home. The circumstances surrounding his disappearance remain a mystery. In spite of this, he did not show up at his residence, and his girlfriend filed a missing person report shortly after that evening. In the time that has passed since then, the case of Ray Gricker has developed into one of the most intriguing instances in the nation. During the course of the past 10 years, investigators have engaged in activities such as diving to the bottom of lakes, digging up graves, pursuing over 300 sightings that have been recorded from Arizona to North Carolina, and even consulting a psychic, conducting an interview with a member of the Hells Angels, and utilizing technology obtained from NASA. However, none of these attempts were successful in locating the seasoned district attorney who had reached the age of 59 at the time of his disappearance. A red Mini Cooper, which was the vehicle that Ray Gricker had been driving, was discovered in the parking lot of an antique store in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania, some 55 miles away from his residence. This was the first clue pointing to Ray's disappearance. Several months later, his county-issued laptop and hard drive were found separately near a bridge connecting Lewisburg and Milton. Investigators have considered three main scenarios from the outset: that Gricker either took his own life, fell victim to a crime, or deliberately walked away. The most prevalent theories, especially since 2009, suggest that he either committed suicide or intentionally disappeared, particularly after a review of his Google search history on his home computer revealed searches about methods for destroying a hard drive and water damage to a laptop. Before taking his own life in 1996, Roy, Ray's older brother, had been struggling with depression for a very long time. His death was discovered a few days after the authorities discovered his car parked beside the Great Miami River in Ohio. The authorities had found his car. Because of this kind of history, the police decided to conduct a comprehensive search of the river, which included the participation of boat owners as well as people who were just curious about the situation. Ray, however, never genuinely thought that his brother had committed suicide, since he was under the impression that Roy would never leave his two sons without a parent. Additionally, it was unusual that the small Bellefonte Police Department, with only one detective assigned to handle Gricker's case along with several others, was responsible for the investigation. In 2014, the state police took over the case, but this came 9 years after Gricker was reported missing and 2 years after he was officially declared dead. To this day, Gricker's daughter believes she will never get a definitive answer regarding what happened to her father. Moving on to the next mystery. In 1996, billionaire and UFO enthusiast Robert Bigelow paid $200,000 for a ranch on which he set up extensive monitoring and founded the National Institute for Discovery Science. He might not have realized what he was getting himself into at the time, but this would be the beginning of a continuing investigation that has made him more aware of some of the most enigmatic creatures that inhabit our planet. There is something going on at this ranch, which is called Skinwalker Ranch. According to researchers and investigators who have tested the property, they believe that the fact that so many people have come forward with their inexplicable experiences suggests that there is something unearthly happening on and around this ranch. Despite experiencing over 100 events on this land, Bigelow and his study team were unable to gather enough data for scholarly publications. Anything that was difficult for other academics that looked into the ranch. In 2016, Bigelow sold the ranch for $4,500,000. Bigelow has stated in interviews about the ranch that there is unquestionably a presence there, and that it is not unusual to encounter a mysterious gateway and weird flying things. In fact, he was questioned if he believes in aliens during an interview conducted back in 2017. "I'm completely sure of the way," he answered. He was then asked, "Do you believe that UFOs have come to Earth?" He responded with the following: "There has been and is an existing presence, an ET presence, and I spent $1 million and $1 million of dollars. I probably spent more as an individual than anybody else in the United States has ever spent on this subject. I've had a close encounter with a UFO. It really sped up and came right to their face and filled up the entire windshield of the car, and it then took off at a right angle and shot off into the distance." End quote. When asked where we can find alien life, he said that it's right under our noses. Interestingly, it's not just Bigelow that said it's tough to present evidence of the strange happenings on the ranch. Others who've been there have said there always seems to be something wrong when one of these events happens. One researcher posted the following statement: "During the early 2000s, I was sent in as part of a team to investigate Skinwalker Ranch. When our team was carrying out tests on the ranch, we encountered mysterious lines along with various other things. Early on in the investigation, we noticed these blue UFOs flying around the sky that were able to suddenly stop and then fly away at extreme speeds. However, when the team tried to take photographs and videos, we noticed that the equipment would stop working. Fast forward a week, and once again, we observed strange lights in the sky. However, same as before, when we want to take some photographs, the battery in our cameras suddenly drained. We then had cameras around the property, and had them running 24/7. Fast forward 2 weeks and again more mysterious lights could be seen in the sky. Once we checked the footage that had been recording the ranch, we discovered that the videos had cut out a matter of seconds before the crafts arrived. We found that was something that kept happening. There was always something that would stop us from getting evidence. I now understand what people mean when they say that the ranch feels alive. It always felt like we were being played with." According to NIDS investigators, the private scientific research team deployed at the Skinwalker Ranch during its 20-year investigation for Bigelow Aerospace and the United States government's Department of Defense. The Skinwalker, a creature that was seen in and around the ranch, could very well be an interdimensional creature that hops between universes and uses hidden portals found within the mountains, forests, and national parks of our country as entry and exit points into our world. In the documentary, The Hunt for the Skinwalker Ranch, NID's researchers claim that while positioned on a ridge overlooking a basin, the team began to notice what they described as hovering balls of white light. And these were through night vision goggles pointed towards one of the middle homesteads on the property, as it hovered around 4 feet off the ground. The witness claimed that the white ball of light began to open up into an estimated 3-foot wide circular portal. However, on the night vision goggles, a device that can detect and measure the infrared and ultraviolet radiation, the portal appeared to be more like a 3-dimensional tunnel hovering above the ground. The researchers then described that an 8-foot-tall, completely black humanoid creature slowly began to crawl out of the 3-dimensional tunnel, elbowing its way through the portal. The creature then grabbed the edges of the tunnel, pulled itself through, and dropped down 4 feet before running into the darkness. Shortly thereafter, the portal began to close in on itself, forming a bright white ball of light before fading in intensity and disappearing completely. Taking into account this strange sighting and encounter witnessed by the NIDS investigators, could this mean that the Skinwalker creature is in fact an interdimensional species that continues to invade our world via the use of self-creating wormholes? If wormholes could in fact be created by the creatures, Einstein had once theorized that due to the nature of the universe as a fabric of space and time, a wormhole could theoretically do more than just connect 2 points of space in a universe, and could also connect 2 points in time. According to the NIDS reports, there appears to be a substantial amount of evidence for strange connections between the distant past and present across the Skinwalker Ranch. Families who also lived on the ranch before it was purchased were detailed seeing strange-looking creatures along with things like bright, unidentified flying objects. Could this mean that the Skinwalker once thought to only inhabit the Americas made its way to the rest of the world? In an effort to tie this creature with even more modern sightings, stories of the Dogman Beast, a creature that is commonly seen as a derivative of the werewolf legend, seems to contain direct links to that of the Skinwalker. Moving on to the next mystery. 10 minutes from Venice is the island of San Servolo, which has a troubled and sinister past. Even if there are many beautiful vistas in Italy, nobody would go to San Servolo just to see them. Nonetheless, it is ideal for history buffs who enjoy the macabre. The construction of hospitals and other monstrosities on the island is connected to its history. The church devoted to San Cervello is the first. Between 9th–13th century, the island served as the home of Benedictine monks joined later by a gang of nuns that had escaped the convent of St. Leon that had been utterly destroyed by a raging seagulling. However, by the 18th century, only a few nuns were left. As a result, during the war against Turkey in 1716 the monastery was shut down and transformed into a military hospital. From 17/25, the Senate of the Republic of Venice made an executive decision. The hospital island itself were both used as a makeshift insane asylum after mental illness was first recognized as a disease that could be cured. To begin with, the asylum was only used for rich patients that could afford their own treatment. However, starting in 1979, the Napoleonic government also sent poor patients to the island for treatment. Unfortunately, because of their class and resulting poor data polenta, many of these patients succumbed to a condition characterized by mental confusion and bewilderment. Completely exclusive and entirely in keeping with the times, San Servolo only allowed male patients to attend the asylum. There were just 5 doctors in total directly in charge of taking care of over 700 patients, each with a range of illnesses still being researched. For over 250 years, the island was used as a dumping ground for all of Italy's patients. That is until the main hospital was shut down for the final time in 1978 due to a reform of the Italian legislation on psychiatric hospitals. Somewhat unsurprisingly, the metropolitan city of Venice now owns the island, including all estates and cultural assets associated with the asylum. The government established the Institute for the Study of Social and Cultural Marginalization, a foundation set up to preserve the asylum's history, maintain important records, and restore the island to its previous extravagance. Since 1995, the island has also been home to the Venice International University, a center for research education formed to bring the island's economy back up and provide a tourist attraction. Even more recently, the government began hosting an international artist residence out of the museum, which has since become a site for countless stunning exhibitions, vibrant festivals, and incredible performances. Moving on to the next mystery. In July 2018, a shocking discovery was revealed by construction workers in Alexandria, Egypt. Buried beneath the city streets is a huge coffin made of black granite. At roughly 9 feet long, 5 feet broad, and 6 feet tall, the sarcophagus was among the biggest ever discovered. Because of its size and the fact that it was composed of pure black granite, people were quite interested in it. While building in Alexandria's Sidi Gubra neighborhood, the sarcophagus was discovered. The workers were excavating the area to prepare for a new building project when they came across the massive stone coffin buried beneath the ground. The sarcophagus was in a remarkably good condition despite being buried for centuries. The lid was still sealed, and there were no visible signs of damage or decay. This led archaeologists and historians to speculate about the potential contents of the sarcophagus and the identity of the person or people buried within. Initial reports suggested that the sarcophagus may have belonged to Alexander the Great, the famous Macedonian king who conquered much of the known world in the 4th century BC. However, this theory was quickly debunked as the sarcophagus dates from a much later period, likely the Ptolemaic period of ancient Egypt. Further investigations revealed that the sarcophagus likely dates from the 4th century CE, which was a period of significant upheaval in the history of Alexandria. During this time, the city was in decline, and there were frequent invasions and conflicts between different factions and groups. Despite the lack of evidence for a direct connection to Alexander the Great, the discovery of the sarcophagus was still a significant find. The size and grandeur of the coffin suggests that it belonged to a person of great importance, perhaps a wealthy or powerful individual from the Ptolemaic period. The discovery of the sarcophagus also raised questions about the potential contents of the coffin. The lid of the sarcophagus was sealed and there was no visible damage or decay, which suggested that the contents of the coffin may be intact. This led to some speculation about what might be inside the sarcophagus, with some people suggesting that it could contain treasure or other valuable artifacts. However, this theory was quickly debunked as it is unlikely that a wealthy or powerful individual would have been buried with their most valuable possessions. Instead, it is more likely that the sarcophagus contains the remains of one or more individuals, perhaps members of a powerful family or dynasty from the Ptolemaic period. The sealed lid of the sarcophagus also suggests that the burial was carried out with great care and reverence, and that the person or people inside were considered to be of great importance. In defiance of the forewarnings about the old, 2,000-year-old sarcophagus, archaeologists proceeded with the enlistment of Egyptian military engineers. Mustafa Waziri, the Secretary General of Egypt's Antiquities Ministry, said that the opening of the sarcophagus did not result in any curse. Waziri remarked that the sarcophagus is extraordinary due to its massive size, marking it as the most significant discovery of its kind in Alexandria. According to the Antiquities Ministry of Egypt, the skeletons uncovered from the sarcophagus were believed to be soldiers, and there was indication of sharp instrument fractures in one of the skulls. The sarcophagus, aside from its skeletons, was exposed to sewage water which expedited their decay. Oddly enough, around the same time, a petition has garnered the support of 17,000 individuals who were seeking to consume the red coffin juice. More specifically, they intend to ingest it in the form of a carbonated energy drink in an effort to harness its supposed powers and ultimately succumb to death. As per the statement of the Egyptian Antiquities Minister, the Pharaoh punch does not contain anything that you would want to drink, further saying that it definitely won't extend your life. After its discovery, it was transferred to the Alexandria National Museum for conservation and further study. Right now, the enormous black granite sarcophagus that was discovered in Alexandria is a noteworthy finding that has captivated people's attention worldwide. Important concerns concerning the lives and legacies of the people who lived during this time period have been brought to light by the discovery of this sarcophagus, which has also offered a window into the history of Alexandria and the ancient world. Moving on to the next mystery. Every year, thousands of unexplained occurrences in our sky are reported. Most of these are attributed, prompting viewers to wonder what was recorded. A few years ago, a bizarre object was captured on camera in the sky in China. The odd-looking object was hovering over Shandong province, a noted hotspot for UFO sightings, when locals were able to take pictures of it. In fact, residents in the area have said this isn't the first time unexplained lights have been seen in the region, going on to say that every time this happens, it doesn't get much coverage in China. Officials quickly came forward to debunk the sighting and said that the most likely explanation was that this was a projection. But as locals said, this doesn't explain away the other UFOs that were reported in the region. One resident said the following: "This isn't the first time that me and my friends have seen odd lights. Whenever these strange lights are seen, people try their hardest to capture them on camera because without this evidence, no one will believe us." Another thing I've noticed is that the media will normally only feature sightings that can be easily explained. Many of the hard-to-explain UFO photographs don't reach the media. You can only normally find them on UFO grooms. Me and my friends have seen large crusts hovering the sky that we estimate are a few 100 feet in length. Other times, we've seen large orbs a few feet in diameter flying around the city. These are the ones that residents are talking about when we say we're seeing UFOs. It's hard to explain what they are because they're moving so fast. They are definitely not things like drones. They're too small and too fast. There are some who have said there's a theme with many of these sightings, but skeptics say the majority of these images are blurry and that you can't make out what the object is. One person said the following: "I don't think these lights are anything. Probably something like a drone or a Chinese lander." Others, though, hit back at these explanations and say it's just a lazy reply, with them saying that if someone says it's a drone or a lantern, it means they don't want to conduct any real research to explain what it is. When UFOs are reported in China, however, it doesn't have as much of an impact. It's usually debunked straight away, and people seem to forget about it. A large amount of these crafts have been photographed from this region, and it seems that it's only when they reach social media that they start to have an impact, with people then asking what they are and where they came from. This is what happened back in 2018 when many residents noticed what appeared to be strange glowing lights in the sky above Beijing. Multiple residents saw these crafts and started to snap photographs. One eyewitness described the lights as looking like a cone and that every so often it would give off bright colors. Others said the lights would suddenly appear in the sky before mysteriously vanishing. Even though this strange event was witnessed by many people in the region, an explanation was not given for what was seen that night. One researcher, Yugen, reported that the object was high in the sky at the time it was seen and that it definitely wasn't a satellite or any man-made object. It's important to note as well that there was no rocket launches in the area at the time of the reports, leading some to suggest that the only explanation that can be given is that it was in fact a genuine unidentified flying object. As of today, Chinese state media has given no official explanations about the strange-looking objects. It's also interesting to note that the area in which the object was seen is highly restricted airspace, so it's unlikely to have been a man-made craft. Others have suggested that the object in question could have been the military testing out some new tech. But as some have pointed out, it's unlikely they would have done this over such a crowded place. Interestingly, similar-looking objects have been seen in various countries across the world, causing some to put forward the idea that these objects don't belong to us. UFO researchers who live in China also say that a lot of what is seen is censored and doesn't end up reaching the masses, saying that there's a lot of UFO sightings that the general public doesn't know about. Non-believers have said the cause of the lights could be down to atmospheric conditions, suggesting that it could be similar to ball lightning or earthquake lights. Another idea was that it could have been a resident using something like a drone. However, this doesn't explain how the lights vanished and then reappeared again. As of today, what was seen that night remains a mystery. Interestingly, residents in China have said it's not just UFOs that are seen in the sky, but every so often, large structures appear to be floating motionless above them, causing some to say that they look like buildings and could be part of a secret government project. Researchers and government officials refute these claims, once more stating that Fatima Garner's story is the most plausible explanation for what people are witnessing. Images from a great distance sometimes appear to be floating in the sky, high above the horizon due to a typical atmospheric illusion. An almost mirrored image of the item beyond the horizon, giving the impression that it is hovering amid the clouds, is produced when layers of warm and cold air combine to form an atmospheric duct that functions similarly to a refracting lens. People have been able to view pictures of cities that are located well beyond the horizon's arc thanks to these illusions, which also give the impression that cities themselves were constructed in the sky or that vessels are moving through the atmosphere. Even though this phenomenon is now largely explained as a natural illusion, people who see it are always perplexed. Moving on to the next mystery. The mysterious presence of unidentified flying objects has always piqued the curiosity of supporters, skeptics, and academics, leading to a great deal of debate and speculation. The recorded occurrences of unexplained objects being seen near the sun are an especially intriguing aspect of this phenomenon. The nature and origins of these enigmatic objects have been the subject of much investigation as a result of these occurrences. Numerous theories about the possible causes of these occurrences have been generated by the observations of these phenomena. NASA's Solar and Heliospheric Observatory Lascaux's satellite recorded a captivating object near the sun on July 23, 2020. During this spectacular phenomenon, an unusual anomaly briefly manifested within the solar flare. This incident provided a unique and intriguing insight into the intricacies of solar activity, prompting further examination and analysis to comprehend the nature of such rare occurrences. The item was characterized as resembling a sleek aircraft, and was compared to a classified black project aircraft, and it was noted for its resemblance to a slender aerial vehicle. At present, there is significant confusion among the public regarding the identity of the object. One user has highlighted that the object in question does not align with the usual entities detected by the NASA Solar and Heliospheric Observatory. This observation suggests that the object deviates from the expected norm of captured objects. Reports of enigmatic phenomena in close proximity to the Sun have been documented for numerous years, with accounts dating back to as early as the mid-1900s. These sightings, which have persisted over decades, continue to intrigue and puzzle both scientists and the general populace. Sightings of unidentified objects frequently entail the observation of entities that seem to be navigating at considerable velocities or executing intricate maneuvers in close proximity to the Sun's periphery. These phenomena have piqued the interest of astronomers and scientists alike, prompting further research. In numerous instances, celestial bodies of this nature are detected by amateur stargazers or recorded in photographs and videos obtained by solar observation satellites, for example, NASA's Solar and Heliospheric Observatory. Such occurrences are frequently the subject of observation and documentation by individuals with a keen interest in astronomy as well as those interested in the unknown. Lately, a specific image has stirred up a commotion on the internet, leaving numerous individuals uncertain about its significance and source. The photo has sparked widespread curiosity, leading to various interpretations and speculations regarding the origins of the object. Observers who viewed the image noted the presence of a sleek, dark object in close proximity to the Sun. Oddly, there have been previous sightings of circular objects near the Sun, prompting researchers to speculate that this anomaly might be of extraterrestrial origin, positing the intriguing possibility that it could be an advanced civilization's probe sent to examine potential indicators of life on Earth, analogous to our present exploration of other celestial bodies within the solar system. These occurrences have led to thought-provoking discussions within the scientific community, raising questions about the potential existence of intelligent life beyond our planet and its potential interstellar activities. This phenomenon has sparked a profound curiosity among researchers, driving them to contemplate the implications of detecting such advanced technological artifacts and the profound impact they could have on our understanding of the universe. Several interpretations have been put forward regarding the identity of this object, encompassing a wide spectrum of theories extending from sun anomalies to sophisticated forms of activity. These propositions seek to shed light on a mysterious entity that has captured scientific intrigue, prompting investigations into its potential origins. Some people speculate that these enigmatic entities harness the energy of the Sun to power their space vehicles, possibly shedding light on the regular sightings in close proximity to the Sun. This hypothesis offers a plausible explanation for the recurring presence of these objects near our solar system's primary source of energy. Indeed, experts in the field of science have recognized and accepted the notion that the expanse of space is of such immense magnitude that it surpasses the grasp of the human mind. An alternative scenario could involve the potential use of our Sun as a portal by an advanced extraterrestrial civilization. Some individuals who harbor skepticism regarding the phenomenon conjecture that its discovery may be attributed to a mere sunspot. The diverse range of forms and dimensions of the unidentified entities sighted in proximity to the Sun has given rise to conjecture regarding their source and objectives. The extensive array of shapes and dimensions observed in the unidentified objects near the Sun has sparked theories about their origins. Some individuals have depicted these unidentified objects as having a metallic composition and a disc-like shape. Conversely, there are accounts of sightings detailing craft that resemble cigars or triangles. The wide range of these reports has given rise to various hypotheses spanning from sophisticated extraterrestrial visits to clandestine government undertakings. There is a prevalent belief within the UFO community suggesting that the unidentified objects observed in close proximity to the Sun might be sophisticated spacecraft operated by advanced life forms. Advocates of this notion put forth the argument that highly advanced alien societies could potentially be harnessing the sun's boundless energy for a multitude of purposes, including propelling their spacecraft or fueling state-of-the-art extraterrestrial technology. Although this hypothesis has garnered significant attention from certain UFO researchers, it is crucial to note that it primarily rests on conjecture and lacks substantial empirical evidence to substantiate its claims. Skeptics maintain the viewpoint that numerous sightings of unidentified flying objects in close proximity to the Sun are attributable to natural occurrences like solar flares, coronal mass ejections, and sunspots. These celestial incidents have the capacity to generate atypical configurations and designs when observed from a distance, contributing to misconceptions among onlookers who may misidentify them as unfamiliar entities. Another feasible rationale for the occurrence of UFO sightings in proximity to the Sun relates to image anomalies or visual distortions. The imagery captured by solar monitoring satellites like SOHO can occasionally exhibit irregularities stemming from the imaging techniques comprising lens flare, visual distortions, or data compression inaccuracies. These irregularities might be misconstrued by observers as unidentified flying objects. Furthermore, when solar observation satellites capture images, a range of factors such as lens flare, image noise, and data compression errors might lead to the creation of artifacts, which could potentially be misinterpreted as UFOs. The examination of unidentified flying object sightings in close proximity to the Sun poses significant challenges primarily because of the inherent difficulty in accessing reliable data in the absence of conclusive evidence. The overwhelming majority of these sightings are predominantly rooted in anecdotal evidence, which is susceptible to various influencing factors such as misperception, memory distortion, and cognitive biases. This makes it a complex and intricate undertaking to ascertain the legitimacy and actuality of such occurrences. The abundant speculation surrounding UFO sightings near the Sun poses a significant challenge for researchers aiming to conduct thorough, unbiased analysis. The absence of agreement among researchers and the widespread promotion of sensational claims in the mainstream media have significantly hindered scientific efforts to comprehensively study this phenomenon. This situation has made it increasingly arduous for researchers to approach this subject with the requisite level of scientific rigor, leading to a dearth of credible and well-substantiated studies in this area. The observation of unidentified flying objects in close proximity to the Sun is a captivating and mysterious subject, which has only gained more traction over the years as more and more of these strange objects have been detected by NASA technology. The wide array of documented phenomena and the myriad interpretations aimed at definitive explanations, the examination of UFO sightings near the Sun serves as a testament to humanity's unyielding curiosity about unexplored frontiers and the pursuit of comprehension regarding the enigmas that pervade our cosmos. This exploration not only reflects our innate inclination to uncover the unfamiliar, but also embodies our quest to fathom the enigmatic aspects of the universe that envelop us. The extensive repository of solar and heliospheric observatory images is open to everyone, providing the opportunity for intriguing findings to unfold gradually. Lately, a specific image has sparked considerable interest, leaving numerous individuals uncertain about its significance. This library offers an in-depth collection of images from the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, making it possible for researchers and enthusiasts alike to make new and captivating discoveries over time. Through careful observation, a substantial phenomenon generating an energy ripple has captured our attention. Numerous theories have emerged in an attempt to explain this occurrence, encompassing hypotheses related to solar irregularities such as sunspots, abnormalities on the Sun, and even speculations about extraterrestrial involvement. There is a theory suggesting that UFOs harness the energy of the Sun to power their spacecraft, potentially shedding light on the multitude of sightings near the Sun. Furthermore, even scientists have admitted that the expanse of space is so immense that it surpasses human understanding. Another hypothesis proposes that an intelligent extraterrestrial civilization could be utilizing our Sun as a portal of some kind. Substantiated by accounts of objects observed entering and exiting the Sun, the concept of our solar system serving as a conduit for an advanced species is not without intrigue. In contrast to the skeptics who dismiss the phenomenon, some experts speculate that the startling discovery may just be a sunspot. While meticulously scrutinizing solar data, a group of eminent Japanese astronomers stumbled upon an enormous sunspot hosting an exceptionally robust magnetic field, ultimately proving to be the most potent on the Sun's expansive surface. Their exhaustive research and analysis ultimately led them to the deduction that the efflux of gas from one sunspot was exerting force against another, thus giving rise to the formation of the remarkably intense magnetic field. This elucidation provides a compelling and plausible account for the observed celestial occurrences. It has been suggested that these entities would be unable to approach the Sun due to its extreme temperatures. Temperatures surpassing 27 million degrees Fahrenheit can be produced in the Sun's core. When hydrogen atoms combine to form helium, the process is known as nuclear fusion. The temperature of the photosphere, which is where the Sun's visible light is detected, is about 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. It is thought that nothing can approach the Sun too closely without burning up because of the extreme heat and radiation. Other theories suggest that the observed abnormalities could be illusions or cosmic junk. Moving on to the next mystery. Russia has released a number of intriguing reports in recent years. A peculiar UFO that was spotted floating over western Siberia is one that many people are unaware of. When the object was observed, there were conflicting accounts. Some claimed it seemed to be an unidentified craft, while others claimed it emerged from a wormhole. Other locals were voicing their own allegations, such as that they saw something emitting a laser-like substance, and that this was causing a hole to form in the sky. This led others to claim that the wormhole itself was being created by this object. One eyewitness said the following: "A fireball emerged out of the sky over the city of Omsk in western Siberia and was spotted as far as Kazakhstan. There was claims that it was an alien visit. Photographs taken from a car on Tuesday evening shows the object hovering over Superstore IKEA. It was also seen in various cities close by." Astronomers at the planetarium of the Siberian State University of Geosystems and Technologies confirmed that it wasn't a comet but have not ruled out if it was a meteor. End quote. Those in the region said that Siberia isn't a stranger to meteors and that since living there, they've seen several. However, they said that this object wasn't like anything that they've seen before. One resident went on to report that this object looked like an eyeball and that it was flying around in the sky at fast speeds. It would then suddenly stop and flash a light in the sky. This light would then open up something close by, with locals saying that this opening looked like a portal. Another local points out that this thing seemed to be flying around in the sky and it didn't drop to the ground. Some who didn't see the event live but have seen the images suggested that is actually a rocket launch, saying that it matches other failed rocket launches that had been seen in the region. The locals, though, seemed convinced that this wasn't what they were seeing. As of right now, due to conflicting reports, the event remains a mystery. Although these types of events and encounters sound unbelievable, this isn't the only place where this type of unidentified flying object has been observed. One of the places that's known to have these types of UFOs is that of Skinwalker Ranch. Skinwalker Ranch has been a hotbed of UFO activity. It's one of the most common things that is seen here. However, before it became known as the Skinwalker Ranch, it was simply known as a ranch where the Sherman family lived in the 1990s. The Shermans tried to reach out to newspapers and other media outlets to explain their experience of the bizarre things they'd witnessed on the ranch. These tales included the mysterious furnishing of cows, crop circle-like patterns in the pasture and soils, along with countless UFO sightings. According to legend, a werewolf sighting also took place on the Skidmore garage, where a farmer claims he saw the wolf attacking one of his calves. The farmer fired out the wolf without any response. The farmer then fired another shot. This time, the wolf let go of the calf but stood upright with no sign of distress. After a third shot, the wolf walked away casually, still unharmed by the multiple bullets. While living on the ranch, one family experienced multiple cattle disappearances, crop circles hearing voices calling from nowhere, objects moving by themselves, and seeing strange birds and other animals on the property. Some people have even witnessed thunderbirds on the property. The thunderbird is a cryptozoological creature associated with large bird-like animals. These creatures are believed to be huge in size. Many people over the years have claimed to have witnessed them and say their giant size is unlike anything they've seen before. Terry Sherman said the following while staying here. We would see these 100-foot circular openings appear in the air. It was like 4 orange-colored doorways that would spiral open. Looking through a high-powered scope, the Shermans watched as smaller crafts would emerge from the hovering portals, fly around the property, and then re-enter the doorways. The Shermans described the stealthiest smaller crafts as being around 60 to 40 feet in length. The smaller crafts looked like they were a flying grid. They also appeared to emit spikes of light which hit the ground. Another eerie phenomenon soon began to plague the Shermans. The families started noticing glowing blue balls moving around the property. The balls gave off a cracking sound, seemed intelligently controlled, and could either hover or move unbelievably fast. One evening, the Shermans watched as a blue ball approached one of their horses. The light hovered within a foot of the horse's face, which spooked it immediately. From a distance of 10 feet, they shined a flashlight on the blue globe and it retreated. It then approached Terry as if inspecting him. Terry described it as a glass ball around the size of a baseball, which appeared to contain 2 blue fluids which intermingled with each other. These blue UFOs have been seen for decades now, but people can't seem to agree on what they are. Some say they're drone-like crafts related to UFOs, while others have said they're energy boards that are under intelligent control. Since then, additional researchers have conducted studies on Skinwalker Ranch and observed comparable results. According to some, the neighborhood is aware, and sightings abruptly end when you attempt to document them. Skinwalker Ranch seems to be alive. Those who have looked into this area so far have stated that something is happening. We still don't know what that item is. Moving on to the next mystery. Due to the combined effects of strong winds, dry vegetation, and abnormally high temperatures, with the Windy Deuce fire swiftly reaching its Potter County location, the Pantex plant, which is essential to the assembly and dismantling of America's nuclear weapons, halted operations. This facility is essential to the nation's nuclear arsenal management. As a precaution, they have safely evacuated all unnecessary people from the site, said Leif Pendergraft, spokesperson for the National Nuclear Security Administration's production office at Pantex, at a news briefing. Despite the presence of a fully equipped fire department specifically trained to handle such situations, stationed on-site and vigilant, prepared to respond promptly in the event of any actual emergency at the plant premises. This ensures that adequate measures are in place to address any unforeseen incidents effectively, reassuring the safety and security of the facility and its occupants. As of right now, people on Facebook wildfires. One individual highlighted that their father, who works for the police force, stated that these fires are affecting the emergency powers, National Guard, and various other resources. Others pointed out that the timing is strange and stated that wildfire season doesn't usually happen this early, which has caused some people to put forward some interesting theories. Although this is just an idea, one user pointed out that many of these wildfires seem to start out of nowhere and question why this is. Pantex, a prominent facility in nuclear weapons assembly and disassembly, is strategically located approximately 17 miles or 27 kilometers to the northeast of Amarillo, Texas. Since 1975, it has served as the primary facility in the United States for the assembly and disassembly of atomic weapons. Over the years, this facility has played a crucial role in the maintenance and handling of the country's nuclear arsenal. The Windy Deuce wildfire experienced a significant growth spurt during the afternoon of February 28, expanding its reach to cover a vast area of 91,000 acres, while containment efforts stood at 25% effectiveness. Amidst the ongoing crisis, numerous additional wildfires, with several of them being significantly larger in scale, pose imminent threats to the Texas Panhandle region. Taking swift action, Governor Greg Abbott, a member of the government, has officially declared a state of disaster encompassing 60 counties spread throughout Texas. The Smokehouse Creek Fire, the most extensive wildfire currently raging, has ravaged an immense expanse of 850,000 acres by February 28, as reported by the Texas Forest Service. Surpassing the state of Rhode Island in size, this wildfire has grown exponentially, doubling in size just within a day. To put this into perspective, it is now nearly 20 times larger than the area of Washington, D.C. This intensive wildfire has not only engulfed vast swathes of land, but has also posed significant challenges for containment efforts and firefighting operations. At a mere 3% containment level, the ongoing wildfire has the potential to exceed the size of the largest fire ever recorded in the state, which covered slightly over 900,000 acres, possibly by the culmination of activities on Wednesday. The exact trigger for the fire that engulfed the thinly populated regions nestled amid expansive grasslands remains undisclosed by officials. Texas residents are advised by Mr. Abbott to restrict any activities that might generate sparks and to exercise care to ensure the safety of their family members. This recommendation is particularly crucial to prevent accidents and protect loved ones from harm. In the latest updates, the Grapevine Creek fire, which is relatively smaller in size, has reached a containment level of 60% as per the report released on Wednesday. Similarly, the containment level of the Magenta fire stands at 40%, indicating gradual progress in managing the situation. Additionally, the 687 Rima fire, situated just to the south of the Smokehouse Creek fire, has achieved a containment rate of 10%. According to the National Weather Service, the weather conditions have shown significant improvement compared to earlier in the week. The forecast for Wednesday indicates that the state will experience lower temperatures and gentle winds, factors that are expected to contribute to restricting the expansion of the 5 ongoing fires in the Panhandle region. This alteration in weather patterns is crucial as it offers a glimmer of hope in controlling the wildfire situation. Early this week, the National Weather Service released red flag warnings and fire danger alerts for numerous states spanning the central region of the country. This action was prompted by the convergence of strong winds exceeding 40 miles per hour, elevated temperatures, reduced humidity levels, and the presence of dry winter foliage creating a perfect storm for potential wildfire outbreaks. These warnings were specifically targeted at ensuring public safety and vigilance in light of the heightened risk posed by the prevailing weather conditions in the specified areas. The Smokehouse Creek fire also spread to Oklahoma late Tuesday, causing evacuations and destruction in the towns of Gage and Shattuck. In response to escalating threats, evacuation directives were dispatched encompassing various counties in Texas during the recent events. The county and city authorities took to broadcasting on the social media platform Facebook to engage with the populace fraught with anxiety, addressing their inquiries in real time, urging depicted as engulfed in flames on both sides, painting a harrowing picture while acknowledging the strain on resources being pushed to their limits in managing the crisis. During a recent incident in Fritch, a small town, a fire outbreak compelled certain residents to evacuate their homes as the flames leaped across a highway. On Wednesday morning, the Hutchinson County Office of Emergency Management issued a statement highlighting a distressing situation where numerous residences have been devastated with some engulfed in flames, particularly in the area of Fritch. Texas State Senator Kevin Sparks announced that a mandatory evacuation order had been declared for Canadian, a community of approximately 2,000 residents situated around 100 miles northeast of Amarillo. Subsequently, on the same day, the Hemphill County Sheriff's Office advised the remaining population of Canadians to take refuge either at their homes or relocate to the high school gym due to the closure of various roads in the area. The move was prompted by an escalation of the situation, necessitating immediate action to ensure the safety and well-being of the local residents and to mitigate potential risks associated with the prevailing conditions in the region. In addition to the evacuations that took place in Canada, further evacuations were also mandated in the vicinity of Miami. Additionally, as a precaution, schools in Miami and Canada announced closures on Wednesday. Authorities in the fire-affected area of Durham, Oklahoma, which is east of Canada, recommended locals to leave because of the growing fire threat. Moving on to the next mystery. The mystery surrounding the Georgia Guidestones' last moments. Just prior to the destruction of the Georgia Guidestones, a minor information was disclosed by someone. In Elbert County, Georgia, USA, there was a granite monument known as the Georgia Guidestones. Built in 1980, it was made up of 4 enormous upright stones with a capstone on top and a central pillar supporting the capstone. In addition to a brief statement at the top of the monument written in 4 ancient languages, the monument was etched with 10 rules or principles in 8 contemporary languages. Often called the 10 Commandments of the New Age, these rules or principles advocate for a sustainable and balanced approach to life on Earth with respect for human rights and the environment, and an emphasis on preserving a peaceful and harmonious global community. The person or organization in charge of creating the Georgia Guidestones is unknown, as the monument was commissioned through a pseudonym, and the true identity of the commissioning party has never been revealed. Since the Georgia Guidestones were taken down, the Georgia Guidestones were taken down, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation has yet to identify any suspects related to the incident. Oddly enough, a soldier was watching the footage of the stones being destroyed when they noticed a small detail. The soldier reported that they have extensive knowledge when it comes to these types of explosions, and said that something seemed off. He said the following: "I did 3 combat tours in Iraq, and I've seen my fair share of IEDs, EFBs and DAMs. That was not a standard conventional munition. There was no blast wave, no collateral damage, 0 crater. And that was something powerful enough to absolutely destroy solid granite and not even touch the surrounding structure. Something extremely accurate, more accurate than any GPS-guided munition that is known. My guess would be this is something that is not operational, or doesn't exist. I'd say that's an energy-based weapon and not conventional explosives." Interestingly, directed energy weapons are currently being used by the United States military. Directed energy weapons are a type of non-projectile technology that utilizes either electromagnetic or particle energy to strike a target. Unlike traditional weapons that rely on propellants to launch projectiles, directed energy weapons accomplish their aim through the manipulation of energy. In recent years, this technology has matured, leading to an increase in funding to support the ongoing research. Directed energy weapons are a set of advanced technologies that have the potential to transform modern warfare by reducing the risk of collateral damage. These weapons operate on the principle of manipulating electromagnetic or particle radiation to damage or destroy targets with precision and efficiency. Many questions remain, with users saying that the footage didn't look right, saying why would they only release a short 10-second video that cuts really quickly into another shot? At the time, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation was asking people for their help in identifying what happened, but then didn't release the footage in the lead-up to the event. This has led to some confusion, with many users echoing the same comments, asking why they would release only a small section of the footage, with others saying that officials clearly have cameras in the area and so questioned why they wouldn't just rewind it and show the public what happened moments before. One person said that the video is odd and that there seemed to be multiple cuts, which could indicate that it was altered before being made public. We still don't know who removed the stones, and there are still a lot of unanswered questions. The exoplanet TOI 1231b. One question may be at the center of one of the most significant space riddles that plague our thoughts. In this seemingly unending dark emptiness, are we really alone? Just thinking about it could conjure up terrifying visions of extraterrestrial life and possible space conflict. But those traditional big-headed, big-eyed aliens have not yet been found by scientists. What they have found instead is their everlasting search for life beyond Earth are several planets that could fundamentally change how we view atmospheric composition and planetary formation. One of those planets, or should we say exoplanets, is called planet TOI 1231b, existing at just 90 light-years away. It orbits around a red dwarf star and is about 3.5 times the size of Earth. In comparison to what we know in our solar system, it has a similar gaseous climate to that of Neptune. As noted by scientists, it is one of the coolest and comparatively small planets known to date. Exoplanets are large bodies extending beyond our solar system that orbit other stars. In general, they mostly exist in a small region of our Milky Way galaxy in the 1000 and rising. As the technologies of space exploration only get more advanced and ambitious, we could see the number of exoplanets increase to the tens of 1,000 within a decade. Although we cannot exactly go jump ship and live on planet TOI 1231b due to its small size, its Neptune-sized existence offers a fantastic opportunity for scientists to capture one of the first barcode-type readings of its atmosphere. Perhaps those readings will help us to locate similar worlds. If you're fascinated by unsolved mysteries and enjoying the videos so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up to stay updated on all our latest content. Moving on to the next mystery. One of the most famous and captivating natural wonders on Earth is the Grand Canyon, a magnificent canyon sculpted over a period of 1 million years by the unrelenting might of the Colorado River. 1 million people have been captivated by its breathtaking scenery and breathtaking views, which have attracted tourists from all over the world. However, beneath its untamed exterior, this geological wonder conceals a wealth of secrets that continue to captivate and perplex geologists, explorers, and adventurers. The Grand Canyon hides a universe of unsolved mysteries and unexplored regions that invite us to investigate and unearth its timeless secrets, from mysterious caverns and unexplained disappearances to ancient geological secrets, and unexplained disappearances to ancient geological secrets, and elusive species. A worker with NASA vanished in the Grand Canyon. Every year, an alarming number of individuals exceeding 250,000 are reported missing. However, this figure merely scratches the surface, as it is estimated that the actual number of unreported missing persons cases skyrockets to over 300,000 annually. With such an overwhelming volume of reports, it comes as no surprise that a significant majority of these cases remain unresolved. Nevertheless, amidst this sea of mysteries, there are certain clusters of missing persons cases that possess an uncanny air of peculiarity, capturing the attention of people and giving rise to inexplicable theories. These enigmatic occurrences, collectively known as the Missing 411, revolve around the unexplained disappearances of individuals within the vast expanses of national parks. Oddly enough, it is believed that many of these Missing 411 cases are not thoroughly investigated, leading some to speculate that a sinister supernatural or paranormal cover-up is at play within these untouched landscapes. Back on June 17, 2016, a man by the name of Floyd Roberts III had gone on a hiking trip with a longtime friend of his, Ned Bryant, and his friend's daughter, Madeline Bryant. However, after several hours of hiking together, Floyd suddenly disappeared from the group. As the weeks went on and the investigation into the matter was never resolved, many began to wonder what exactly happened to Floyd Roberts within the very short span of time that he had wandered away from his group. According to Ned Bryant, he and Floyd had been lifelong friends since they were 10 years old when they first met each other back in Princeton, New Jersey. Their friendship was so close that many would often think that Ned and Floyd were actually brothers. Their friendship would even coalesce and maintain throughout their entire lives, with Floyd Roberts serving as Ned's best man during his wedding several years prior. Unfortunately, due to work requirements and job opportunities, the two men were unable to live close to each other, with Floyd Roberts eventually moving out to the city of Huntsville, Alabama, where he spent a short period of time working as a software engineer for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. After a short time of working for NASA, Floyd Roberts moved once more to work as a computer programming and game design teacher at Middleton High School, located in Treasure Island, Florida. However, throughout this time, Floyd and Ned decided to stay close friends and would meet up regularly to do an activity together. It was back in 1992 when Floyd and Ned decided that they would start hiking around the Grand Canyon a few times a year, as it would be a fun activity for them to both do that would also allow them to take a break from their lives momentarily and get some much-needed exercise. These routine hiking trips would continue for over the next 20 years together, where the two men became highly experienced campers and hikers, familiar with the Grand Canyon as it was their only hiking route. Even more interesting, the two men were so interested in hiking that they would often travel alone in their free time whenever the other was unable to join, showing that both men had experienced navigating the known pathways of the area even when isolated and on their own. Several years later, Ned Bryant and a few other members of his family became board members of the Grand Canyon Hikers and Backpackers Association, often sharing tips with each other on the best pathways and means of travel throughout the area, and having been trained in travel safety when hiking through isolated parts of the Grand Canyon. Confident that the two would be perfectly safe during their journey, the men planned to take one of their longest hiking and camping trips yet, choosing to spend 9 days hiking through the Chivwitz Plateau, a pathway that would lead them out of the area through the Separation Canyon. Although the region was a typically less popular area to travel through, their decided route was considered to have been largely very safe without any major pitfalls or ravines close to their trails. Additionally, the two men decided that the beginning of the journey would be the most relaxed and planned on spending the first couple of days camping alongside the major river in the area before making their way out of the canyon. After careful consideration, the two men planned their trip and decided that their hike would end after 9 days on the June 26, 2016. At the last minute, Ned's daughter, Madeline Bryant, decided to join the group. And so the group decided that the easiest path down towards the river they had wanted to camp beside for a few days was to first reach the Grand Canyon Parachan National Monument, when entering from the furthest western portion of the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon Parachan National Monument is considered to be a remote location and terribly underdeveloped given the lack of tourists that tend to visit the area. According to official park services, there are no known paved roads or laid-out trails leading to the National Monument, and no visitor services of any kind. Regardless, the group decided the open area and the lack of tourists would be a perfect staging ground to enter towards the river without the stress of strangers crowding around the area. Once the group was several miles away from the main trailhead of the area, the three travelers found themselves traveling over a large hill. Given Floyd Roberts' preference for a longer traveling time to help take in the scenery, he decided that he would take the slow rounding trail that followed the contours of the hill to reach the trailhead, whereas Madeline and Ned decided that a straight path over the hill would allow them to reach the trailhead faster and give them time to relax and take a quick rest. At around 4:45 in the afternoon, the group separated with Ned and his daughter taking a straight-line path and Floyd Roberts following the trail that wrapped around the side of the hill. Several minutes later, Ned and Madeline would reach the trailhead and decide to take a short rest, waiting for Floyd Roberts to catch up to them. However, after about 20 minutes of waiting, the two started to worry that something had happened and immediately began retracing their steps to look for Floyd Roberts, who they assumed must have gotten lost somewhere along the contouring path. After spending several hours looking for Floyd Roberts, the two decided that it was too dark and dangerous for them to continue their search, and so made a campsite near the trailhead meeting spot in the hopes that Floyd Roberts would be able to locate them by their fire. Unfortunately, the two said that it appeared as if Floyd had just completely disappeared. And so Ned and Madeline hiked their way to the nearest area with cell phone reception to report Floyd Roberts as missing. The two reported Floyd Roberts' disappearance at around 3 in the afternoon on Saturday, June 18th. Almost immediately, a team of search and rescue working for the national park started their search for Floyd Roberts, covering a 10-mile radius of where he had last been seen by Ned Bryant and his daughter. The search and rescue originally showed up for the search efforts in high spirits, believing that Roberts would have been recovered quickly, given the fact that the weather in the area did not drop anywhere near freezing temperatures and stayed relatively high throughout the day and night. Additionally, Floyd Roberts had been carrying a week's supply of food and over 2 gallons of water in his backpack at the time of his disappearance, so it was believed that he would have more than enough supplies and years of experience to help him navigate his way towards help if necessary. Over the next few days, an estimated 15 people were involved with the search and rescue of Floyd Roberts, with a team of sniffer dogs used to follow his scent. Approximately at this time, a set of footprints was found that led down the path that Ned and his daughter, Madeline, had stated Floyd had last been seen following. Following the trail, the dogs seemed to have caught Roberts' scent and proceeded for several 100 feet toward the tracks before abruptly stopping. Then search and rescue saw that Floyd Roberts' tracks looked to have vanished abruptly as though he had been walking, then lifted into the air and disappeared again. The National Park Service rescue aircraft was deployed at this point to obtain aerial views of the 10-mile radius, but they were unable to find any indications that somebody had fallen in any known locations or down any side paths. The Floyd Roberts search and rescue efforts slowed to a passive search after 6 days of desperate seeking and thousands of man-hours. Roberts' whereabouts are still unknown, and no trace of him has been found to date. Moving on to the next mystery. the treasure chest revealing clues to Thutmose II's lost tomb. At Deir el-Bahri, one of Egypt's biggest archaeological sites, an incredible discovery has been uncovered. A buried stone chest containing some intriguing artifacts that may have been created more than 3,500 years ago was discovered by archaeologists. Its discovery was attributed to researchers from the Institute of Archaeology at the University of Warsaw in Poland, led by Professor Andrzej Nowinski. The second king Thutmose's lost tomb is thought to be accessible through this finding. Deir el-Bahri is a site near Luxor and Karnak, two other successful excavation sites, and is a remarkable complex of monuments and tombs meant for ancient Egyptian nobility and royalty. The tomb of Hatshepsut lays there, and the Polish archaeologists have been working tirelessly on this site for the past 60 years. The chest was discovered by Sherlock, found in a pile of heavy debris which resembled nothing more than another segment of an ancient building's wall. Professor Nowinski, when interviewed by the media, explained that it was only after they gave the debris a closer look that they realized what it was, a chest intact and full of archaeological treasures. The chest measures 40 centimeters in width and length. All the items found inside the chest were wrapped in bundles of linen canvas to protect them. 3 vital items were found. There was a skeleton of a goose. Historians have since hypothesized that it was sacrificed for religious purposes. The second item was an egg of the goose, potentially representing the life contrasting the departure from life symbolized by the goose. And finally, the egg of an ibis bird. In ancient Egypt, the ibis bird held immense spiritual value, much like the cat. Next to the stone chest, there was something else wrapped in a bundle of linen, a wooden box with the name Pharaoh Thutmose II engraved on it. The box was in the shape of an ancient Egyptian mortuary chapel. The items and wooden box all pointed towards it, belonging to a member of the royal family for certain. Professor Nowinski shared his thoughts, claiming that the royal deposit indicates that a temple or a tomb was being raised in the pharaoh's name. The evidence steers this theory due to the fact that the site is in the middle of a royal cemetery. The likelihood of it having been a tomb is immensely high. The found boxes suggest that there was indeed a time when the pharaoh was buried at this site. Though whether he is still hidden somewhere deep around the area or if at some point in antiquity his body had been moved elsewhere is unknown, as the tomb of Thutmose II has been deemed lost for 1,000 of years. The pharaoh himself was only in control of Egypt for a mere 3 years, from 1476 to 1479 BC, and was recorded to have passed away at the age of just 16. When he was alive, he was married to his sister, Hatshepsut. Though incest in the bloodline of Egyptian royals was considered normal at the time and often was only done to keep the power within the family for political reasons. However, the young pharaoh seemed to have been nothing short of a political puppet or his sister wife, who went on to rule over Egypt as one of its first female pharaohs. And her reign was regarded as powerful, prosperous, and great. As soon as the stone chest and wooden box were found, the team hurried to try and find the tomb of the lost king, believing it to be hidden in plain sight. Perhaps the eternal resting place of the pharaoh had caved in through the millennia and could be found with a little harder work and digging. The archaeologists involved believe they are incredibly close to discovering the tomb of Thutmose II. And if they succeed in their search, it will be among the most significant archaeological finds of the century, if not the most significant discovery of the previous millennium. This tomb, which would remain utterly unaltered by historical looters, might provide us with a hitherto unheard-of glimpse into the true nature of Egyptian burial customs and what a real undisturbed royal tomb looked like. The legendary Tutankhamun's tomb, which was brimming with riches when it was discovered, was the last time an undiscovered tomb was discovered. Moving on to the next mystery. Trevelyan Evans. At 9:30 a.m., 52-year-old Trevelyan Evans opened Attic Antiques on a bright, pleasant morning. On weekends, the Church Street shop in Llangollen, Wales, often saw a lot of activity, particularly on sunny afternoons when locals strolled through the area's independent stores. Trevelyan seemed cheerful, engaging with around 25 friends and customers throughout the morning. She had plans for the evening and appeared happy and relaxed. Nobody knew that anything was wrong with the 52-year-old. Trevelyan put a note that said "back in 2 minutes" on the front door of her shop at 12:40 p.m. Then she was gone from the scene. Just before, he was said to have been spotted chatting with a well-dressed man, but he has never been located or identified. It is known that Trevelyan bought an apple and a banana as she left the store. She was spotted crossing Castle Street, a nearby location. A banana peel found in the store's trash suggests the 52-year-old may have returned to work after purchasing some fruit. However, this could be a red herring, as she might have eaten the banana earlier in the day. While it's possible she returned to the store that afternoon, this has never been confirmed. The last confirmed sighting of Trevelyan was at 12:30 p.m. on Market Street, near her home. After this, she was never heard from again, and was never seen again. At the time of her disappearance, her dark blue Ford Escort estate automobile was parked 200 yards from her store, and had not been moved. She had forgotten to bring some fruits and flowers home with her after the store closed, along with her handbag, car keys, and jacket. 2 other unsubstantiated reports of Trevelyan were made after her sighting at 12:30 p.m. One incident occurred at 2:35 p.m. when a woman who fit the 52-year-old's description was sighted leaving the city along the A5 next to Riverside Park, and the other occurred at 3:45 p.m. when a lady who looked like Trevelyan was seen entering Park Avenue from the River Dee. After Trevelyan's disappearance, police began reconstructing her life story. In the days leading up to her vanishing, she had spent most of the week away at the vacation home she shared with her husband, Richard, near the Ruther coast. Richard had renovated the house, intending for them to retire there. Remarkably, Trevelyan disappeared just 3 days after returning to Llangollen. She was not known to have any enemies, nor did she show signs of depression, according to those who knew her. All accounts pointed to a fairly average life for her. All of the Llangollen households were questioned following her disappearance. After then, the police continued their search and questioned people who didn't live in the town. 700 autos were removed from the investigation after more than 1,500 names were verified. Nothing could be found despite searches of the nearby caverns, mine shafts, canal, and Dee River. A sketch of a man in a blazer, reportedly seen with Trevelyan shortly before her disappearance, was circulated, but it failed to generate any new leads. In 1992, a tip from a self-proclaimed spiritualist medium prompted a search in a woodland area called World's End. The following year, a woman contacted police, claiming she had a strong feeling that Trevelyan was nearby. This led to a search along the canal bank near Llangollen using police dogs. Unfortunately, either effort yielded any results. The police reopened the case in January 2001, hoping that new forensic methods would provide some insight into the disappearance and provide investigators with useful evidence. Unfortunately, though, this did not further the probe. Trevelyan's husband Richard was detained in June, 5 months later, but he was ultimately freed without being charged. What prompted the investigators to bring him in is unknown. Investigators concluded around the same period that the drawing of the man in the blazer done just before she vanished was not accurate. When Trevelyan disappeared 20 years ago in 2010, her case was reopened for investigation. A September 2011 report revealed that police were exploring a possible connection between her disappearance and convicted murderer Robin Ligas, who had killed 3 men in 1994. However, this theory was ruled out by early 2012. While no confirmed sightings of Trevelyan have surfaced, there have been unverified reports of her in England, France, and Australia over the years. Notably, her bank account has remained untouched since the day she went missing. Richard, her spouse, passed away in 2015. Following a tip from 2 brothers, police officers excavated the Rutland Golf Club bar in 2019 but discovered nothing. Later, Lee and Andrew Sutton, the 2 brothers who had spoken with the police, voiced their displeasure with the way the information was handled by the authorities. They indicated that they had acquired a camera that revealed human remains beneath the golf club's flooring, but that the remains had been removed by the time the police arrived to conduct their investigation days later. They claimed that an unidentified source had informed them about Trevelyan's remains. Both Andrew, a former county council auditor, and Lee, a carpenter, were convinced they had discovered Trevelyan's remains. The brothers claimed that a forensic expert had validated photographic evidence of the corpse they uncovered. In January 2021, a bystander noticed a plaque on one of the many council-maintained benches along the Prostleton Walkway, over 30 miles from Llangollen. The inscription read, **, in memory of Trevelyan Evans, who vanished in 1690. Found Rutland Golf Club, March 14, 2019. **. Deleted on March 19, 2019. RIP. After being there for a few weeks, the plaque was soon vandalized. A fresh plaque was found in May 2022, affixed to a different bench at a rest area off the Office Dyke Trail. It said, on March 19, 2019 at noon at Rutland Golf Club, justice awaits those responsible for the removal and disposal of Trevelyan and Evans in this life or the next. May their souls find mercy from the Lord. When asked about the plaque's origin, Lee remarked, **It's very strange." The Sutton brothers denied any involvement in creating the plaques. Lee added, "I have no idea who would do this or why they would choose to place it there." The brothers also claimed that Lee had received threatening phone calls, and Andrew's window was broken. Despite their communication with the police about the golf club, there has been no significant progress in Trevelyan's case for some time. Her strange daytime disappearance is still unsolved. Moving on to the next mystery. Humans have always been deeply fascinated and intrigued by the idea of time travel, which cuts beyond differences in culture and generation. For many people worldwide, the idea of traveling through time, whether to relive historical events or explore the uncharted future, has an enticing and enduring appeal. A recent assertion by a person claiming to be a time traveler states that a major event with unfavorable outcomes is approaching. The individual in question boldly identified himself as Alexander and, in a startling admission, claimed to be from the future and to be a time traveler. Everyone was shocked by this astounding revelation and interested in learning more about his purported experiences. He discussed a forthcoming society teetering on the edge of collapse with severe damage to the environment, widespread social unrest, and a significant wealth gap. In his depiction, he conveyed a bleak and distressing image of a global landscape marred by incessant wars, a severe lack of essential resources, and the utter collapse of social frameworks. The expert issued a strong caution, stressing the urgency of prompt action to avert an imminent disaster that would inevitably transpire in the coming 5-year period if no immediate measures were implemented. Social media users displayed a combination of astonishment and apprehension as they absorbed the information. When it came to Alexander's assertions, opinions were divided. While some people outright dismissed him as delusional, others took the time to consider the validity of his claims as genuine. While contemplating the ramifications of disregarding his cautionary advice, they carefully considered the potential implications not only for their own lives, but also for the well-being and prospects of future generations. Although the concept of Alexander being a time traveler may have appeared implausible initially, the impact of his message resonated deeply with those who had encountered it. A multitude of individuals have expressed their apprehensions regarding the current state of the world, asserting that it is highly probable for circumstances to deteriorate further in the times ahead. These concerns encompass a wide range of issues and span various aspects of societal, environmental, and economic domains. Alexander recently took to social media to reiterate his belief that the situation is bound to deteriorate significantly before any signs of improvement arise. Furthermore, he predicted the occurrence of a possible uprising within the upcoming 5 years, suggesting that people's patience with the prevailing circumstances is rapidly diminishing. Some individuals have duly noted that these assertions are firmly grounded in actuality. And one of Alexander's cautionary remarks pertains specifically to the occurrence of famine. The topic of famine and its potential consequences in the future is a multifaceted and intricate issue that demands careful examination. While it remains a daunting task to accurately forecast future events with complete certainty, there are numerous factors that point towards a potential escalation in the dangers associated with famine. As stated by their predictions, it has been foreseen that the year 2027 will witness the complete eradication of humanity from our planet, leaving no trace of human life behind. This grim forecast paints a comprehensive picture of a future where not a single human will survive past this date. In his discourse, he vividly described an impending catastrophic event that would have far-reaching consequences, triggering the gradual disintegration of entire civilizations, the disappearance of bustling cities, and the eerie tranquility that would envelope deserted landscapes. According to his warning, if prompt measures were not taken, this looming disaster would transpire in the next half-decade. The assertion made by some individuals was met with skepticism, with some dismissing it as mere delusions. However, others engaged in thoughtful discussions and expressed how they were concerned about future generations. The individuals carefully contemplated the grave implications of disregarding his cautionary message, acknowledging the possible ramifications not only for their present existence, but also for the welfare and prospects of future generations. The concept of him being a time traveler may have initially seemed implausible, but the weight of their message left a profound impact on those who had the opportunity to read it. They further noted that if necessary actions are not implemented to strengthen agricultural productivity, enhance distribution systems, and tackle environmental issues, there is a significant potential for an increase in the likelihood of food scarcity and subsequent famines. The continuous shifts in weather patterns, the occurrence of extreme weather events, and the relentless rise in temperatures pose significant threats to agricultural production. When extreme heat waves, prolonged droughts, severe floods, and alteration in rainfall patterns occur, they can have devastating effects on agricultural systems. Vulnerable regions that heavily depend on agriculture as their primary means of sustenance and financial stability are particularly susceptible to various risks and challenges. If appropriate measures to adapt and implement resilient agricultural practices are not put in place, the potential consequences on food production could worsen the already existing risk of famine. Moreover, it should be noted that economic factors such as the presence of poverty hold immense influence when it comes to ascertaining the susceptibility of communities to the dire circumstances of famine. The idea of time travel, which has always fascinated the human mind, has found its way into various forms of artistic expression, including literature, movies, and scientific studies. Although it is often disregarded as mere fantasy, there is a substantial body of scientific theories and hypotheses that propose the existence of time travel as a genuine and plausible concept. Time travel has captured the imaginations of people for centuries, enticing them with the possibility of journeying through different eras and experiencing the past or future. In order to gain insight into the possibility of time travel, it becomes imperative to grasp the inherent essence of time. Delving into the realm of theoretical physics, time is no longer viewed as an immutable linear progression. Rather, it represents a dynamic dimension that can be subject to manipulation by a multitude of factors such as gravitational forces, velocity, and the curvature of space-time. To comprehensively explore the feasibility of time travel, it is necessary to understand that time, as we perceive it, is not set in stone. Albert Einstein's groundbreaking theory of relativity brought about a paradigm shift in our comprehension of time by introducing the revolutionary notion of space-time, which represents a four-dimensional continuum wherein space and time are inseparably linked. This theory posits that massive celestial bodies such as planets and stars possess the ability to create gravitational wells, which in turn distort the fabric of space-time, resulting in varying rates of time passage at different locations throughout the universe. This remarkable phenomenon, commonly referred to as time dilation, has been empirically confirmed through meticulous observations of high-speed particles, as well as the operational functionality of global positioning system satellites. These precise technological instruments have indirectly substantiated the theory's predictions by demonstrating the practical implementation of relativistic principles in real-world scenarios. One intriguing possibility for traversing through time is the fascinating concept of wormholes. These hypothetical structures are like cosmic shortcuts, providing convenient pathways that connect distant parts of the universe by bending space-time. Wormholes emerge as solutions to Albert Einstein's fundamental equations of general relativity. And although they have not been observed in reality, their theoretical characteristics raise the prospect of enabling time travel. A wormhole can be visualized as a tunnel-like connection that links two separate points in space-time. Instead of having to traverse vast distances, one could potentially enter a wormhole at one location and emerge at another, covering astronomical gaps. A theoretical concept known as a traversable wormhole, if it indeed exists, has the potential to establish connections between distant regions of space-time, enabling instantaneous travel between them. This intriguing notion has captured the attention of physicists who speculate that through the manipulation of a wormhole's geometry and careful control of its properties, it may be plausible to navigate these cosmic bridges and gain access to different temporal points. The twin paradox, a well-known thought experiment, serves as a valuable illustration of the concept of time dilation proposed by Einstein's theory of relativity. It revolves around the journey of two identical twins where one embarks on a high-speed voyage through space while the other remains firmly planted on Earth. When the two twins reunite, a remarkable discrepancy becomes apparent. The twin who traveled at high speeds is noticeably younger than the one who remained stationary. This phenomenon can be attributed to the time dilation encountered during the journey, a result of the complex interplay between velocity and time. The twin paradox serves as a theoretical concept that highlights the tangible implications of relativistic phenomena on the perception of time. Although it exists in the realm of theory, it brings to light the potential consequences of approaching velocities close to the speed of light, a concept often explored in science fiction. If we were to achieve such extraordinary speeds, it is conceivable that we would encounter a divergence in the experience of time compared to those who remain on Earth. Essentially, this would allow us to embark on a journey towards the future where the passage of time would manifest in a distinct manner. The fascinating domain of quantum mechanics presents captivating revelations regarding the potentiality of traversing through time. Certain interpretations of quantum mechanics propose that particles have the ability to simultaneously exist in various states and exert influence on one another across different points in time and space. This field of study delves deep into the fundamental nature of reality, offering a comprehensive exploration of the intricate dynamics that enable the concept of time travel to be contemplated. Closed time-like curves are fascinating theoretical concepts that emerge from the combination of general relativity and quantum mechanics. These constructs depict paths in the fabric of space-time that form loops, ultimately leading to the intriguing possibility of violating causality. In other words, closed time-like curves could create situations where events can influence events that occurred in their own past. While the concept of closed time-like curves remains purely theoretical, there have been notable investigations by physicists into the potential ramifications of quantum mechanics and general relativity when it comes to the concept of time travel. These explorations have given rise to the proposal of groundbreaking theoretical frameworks that hold the potential to enable journeys to the past. The concept of time travel is a topic that often sparks discussions about the famous grandfather paradox. This paradox presents a hypothetical scenario where a time traveler ventures back in time and takes actions that prevent their own existence by stopping their grandparents from meeting. This thought-provoking idea delves into the intricacies possibilities of altering the past and its potential impact on the future. Within the realm of theoretical physics, there have been countless proposed solutions to the issue known as the grandfather paradox. These solutions aim to address the conundrum of altering the past and its potential repercussions. One prevailing proposition suggests that tampering with the past would not result in a paradox, but rather give rise to an entirely new timeline or parallel universe. In this scenario, the original timeline's causality remains intact, ensuring consistency. On the other hand, some scholars argue that the universe itself possesses mechanisms that prevent any occurrence of paradoxical situations. While the concept of time travel is captivating in theoretical frameworks, the actual implementation and realization of time travel pose significant obstacles. The construction and navigation of wormholes or the achievement of speeds similar to that of light, as predicted by the theory of relativity, present technological challenges that humanity has yet to conquer. These endeavors require advancements far beyond our current capabilities and thus remain as elusive frontiers in the realm of possibility. Physicists and researchers persist in their quest to unravel the mysteries of the universe, ceaselessly engaging in experiments and theoretical studies that challenge the limits of human comprehension. These relentless endeavors not only broaden our knowledge, but also pave the way for groundbreaking discoveries. Notably, recent advancements in quantum computing and the exploration of quantum entanglement present promising opportunities for delving into the fundamental nature of time and even contemplating the tantalizing concept of time travel. Even while it is still a topic of conjecture and theoretical research, time travel is currently not completely out of the question. The study of time travel has its roots in the broad field of theoretical physics, which includes basic ideas like Einstein's theory of relativity, the complex concept of wormholes, and the puzzling concepts of quantum mechanics. Time travel remains an intriguing area of study that invites us to explore the limits of our knowledge of the cosmos. Moving on to the next mystery. Tim Hack and Kelly Drew. Tim Hack and Kelly Drew, both 19, vanished on August 9, 1980, after attending a wedding at Concord House in Concord, Wisconsin. Over the following days, various clues were discovered in the area, including a pair of pants, ropes, Tim's car with his wallet inside, and a pair of women's pants. These pieces of evidence eventually led to a chilling discovery. 2 months later, Tim and Kelly's bodies were found in a field, gruesomely mutilated. After almost 30 years, the culprit was ultimately identified thanks to DNA technological breakthroughs, an unexpected witness, and a dedicated investigator. The man was an ordinary-looking man with dark secrets that not even his neighbors knew about. However, who was this man? And why did the truth take so long to come to light? The story of today transports us back to Concord, Wisconsin, a tiny community in Jefferson County that is home to just over 2,000 people. Concord is a popular destination for outdoor enthusiasts, offering activities like hiking, biking, fishing, and camping, all set against its peaceful parks and stunning landscapes. With a violent crime rate of just 7%, far below the national average of 22.7%, residents felt secure, rarely locking their doors, and always looking out for one another. It was the perfect town for young high school sweethearts Tim Hack and Kelly Drew, who had envisioned growing old together, getting married, and settling on a farm. Tim, who was 19 years old, and Kelly, who was 19, were engaged to be married in 1980. Even though Kelly lives in Fort Atkinson and Tim lives in Hebron, 2 different municipalities within the county. While attending Fort Atkinson High School, their paths intersected. Kelly, a young lady with a strong affinity for cosmetology, was well known for her friendliness and beauty. Tim, a diligent farm lad, on the other hand, was strong and determined. Tim and Kelly were deeply loved by those close to them for their kindness and compassion. As a couple, they served as role models to other young people. After high school, Tim pursued a career as a farmer, with his trusty tractor, affectionately named the Lonesome Loser, by his side. Kelly, on the other hand, enrolled in beauty school and completed her studies in 1980, aspiring to become a certified beautician and hairstylist. On August 9, 1980, Tim and Kelly celebrated their love with a wedding at Concord House in Wisconsin. They were going to meet up with friends and enjoy a fun fair after the celebration, but they never did show up. They were last seen alive on August 9, 1980, at approximately 11 p.m. when they left the reception. Tim Hack's father, David Hack, became concerned about their disappearance and lack of communication, and on August 10, 1980, he filed a missing persons report. David found Tim's brown Oldsmobile parked at Concord House that same day. Inside was Tim's locked checkbook, jacket, and wallet, which held $67 on August 15th, when searchers found Kelly's pants and knickers at the side of the road, some 3 miles from Concord House. The case took a dramatic turn. It was found that the clothes contained male bodily fluids. Additionally, military-style knotted ropes were discovered nearby, suggesting the involvement of someone with military experience. This revelation shifted the focus of the investigation. The search for a couple who might have gone on a romantic adventure ended, and attention quickly turned to locating them alive, as it was believed they were in immediate danger. 2 months later, in a wooded region about 7 miles from Concord House, Milwaukee squirrel hunters discovered Kelly Drew's decomposing bones. A fully clothed male body was found around 100 yards away. It was subsequently identified as Tim Hack. This resulted in the case being officially classified as a homicide and being given the moniker Savart murders. Since no murder weapon was discovered at the site, the precise cause of death was not immediately apparent. Further investigation revealed that Kelly had ligature marks, while Tim had knife wounds, confirming that both had been strangled and stabbed. Kelly appeared to have been bound, as indicated by ligature marks on her wrists and ankles. In addition, her neck showed signs of insect activity and further ligature marks, suggesting she had likely been strangled. Body fluids found on Kelly's clothing also pointed to a sexual assault. The brutality of the murders quickly captured national attention. 2 young lovers were brutally slain. The murderer or murderers are still at large. Interviewing acquaintances of the couple was the first step in the inquiry, looking for anyone who might have been sufficiently hateful to carry out such a horrific deed. The employees of the Concord House, where the wedding celebration was held, as well as other guests, were questioned by the police. Edward Wayne Edwards, a handyman who works at the Concord House, was one of the people interviewed. Edward, who lived at a nearby campsite along Interstate 94, claimed he wasn't at the Concord residence when the couple disappeared and had no contact with them. He explained that he had been out hunting deer in the nearby woods at the time. However, when police noticed that Edward had a fractured nose, their suspicions were raised. When questioned about the injury, he insisted it occurred during his hunting trip. Investigators were suspicious because Wisconsin's deer hunting season typically runs from November to August, not around the time of the couple's disappearance. In September 1980, Edward moved his wife and 5 children out of Wisconsin after being questioned by the police. During the course of the inquiry, the detectives mostly relied on eyewitness reports regarding a dirty-looking vehicle that had been parked next to Tim's automobile at the Concord House parking lot. Witnesses stated that around the time Tim and Kelly were last seen, the vehicle mysteriously and suddenly vanished. Edward was known to have a .357 revolver and occurred to drive a van that fit the description. But the police's ability to follow up on this lead was severely constrained because they didn't have a number plate number or any strong proof connecting him to the crime site. As a result, the investigation was eventually shelved and stagnated as all further leads dried up. Richard Luall, a Wisconsin Department of Justice investigator involved in the initial inquiry, requested the case be reopened 2 decades after Tim Hack and Kelly Drew's deaths. Luall, who had been fixated on solving the case for nearly 30 years and was nearing retirement, was determined to see it through. In an interview, he expressed confidence in pursuing the case further, citing significant advancements in scientific procedures and DNA technology over the years. His renewed confidence fueled his determination to tackle the case with greater enthusiasm. Luall had a gut feeling that the killer had already been questioned by the police in the early phases of the inquiry, and that the person's identity would be in the files. All he had to do was find it. Following 2 months of painstakingly going through witness statements, interview tapes, and files, Luall's attention was drawn to one name, Edward Wayne Edwards. Not only did Edward have the means and the chance to conduct the crimes, but there were serious concerns raised when he moved his entire family out of Wisconsin just after being questioned by the police. This finding gave Luall and a group of cold case investigators hope, and they decided to follow their suspicion that Edward might be the murderer. Interviews with Edward's neighbors in Concord, Wisconsin, revealed that he was a difficult person to live with. He was described as erratic and short-tempered, often using violence toward his wife and children. One neighbor even referred to him as a monster. John Edwards, Edward's son, described him as disturbed, mentioning his inability to manage his emotions and a deep-seated anger. In 2009, Edward Bellagio's daughter, April, reached out to the police, providing information about the unsolved murders of Kelly Drew and Tim Hack. Given his long criminal history, she thought her father, Edward Wayne Edwards, was involved in the crime. April felt obligated to reveal what she knew about her father's fascinating life, which had always fascinated her. Born in 1933 in Akron, Ohio, Edward Wayne Edwards experienced a turbulent upbringing following the death of his parents and placement in an institution. His abusive upbringing there influenced his rebellious adolescent personality. Edward's criminal record started early due to a series of small infractions, which eventually led to his membership in the U.S. Marines at the age of 18. Although Edward's military service was brief, ending with an honorable discharge after he disappeared shortly after enlisting, he struggled to abandon his life of crime, leading to repeated incarcerations. At 22, in 1955, he broke out of Akron jail and embarked on a series of petrol station heists across several states. Throughout his 20s and 30s, Edward lived as a vagrant, taking on odd jobs such as handyman, ship docker, and vacuum salesman. His admiration for his own reputation during this time is evident in his memoirs, where he openly admitted to being a fame seeker. Edward never used a pseudonym or tried to hide his identity while committing his crimes. But in 1960, his illegal activities once more caught up with him, and he was imprisoned for trying to pose as a federal officer. Edward was being detained in a jail in Portland, Oregon, but he escaped, leading the FBI to identify him as one of their top 10 most wanted in 1961. He was finally captured by the authorities in 1962 and taken to the United States Penitentiary, Leavenworth. However, in 1967, Edward was given release because of his exemplary behavior. In his memoir, he gave gratitude to a caring guard at Leavenworth for his personal development. After being released, Edward got married and pursued his dream of becoming a motivational speaker. At 39, he appeared on TV shows such as What's My Line and To Tell the Truth in 1972. That same year, his autobiography, The Metamorphosis of a Criminal, was published, offering a genuine account of Edward's life story. Edward's luck appeared to be finally changing for the better. He was headed for success because he had figured out how to use the system. Regrettably, his fortuitous run was not long-lasting. In 1977, Edward killed his first victim, Billy Law, age 21, and his girlfriend, Judith Straub, age 18, both of Sterling, Ohio. On August 7, 1977, the couple went on a date, but they never came back. When Judith's car was found later that day in the Silver Creek Metropark parking lot, her shoes and purse were left behind. The following day, on August 8, Norton police launched a search for Billy and Judith, with assistance from family members and a National Guard helicopter. Eventually, their bodies were discovered in thick undergrowth next to the Metropark. It was apparent that they had been brutally shot at close range with a 20-gauge shotgun. At that time, Edward managed to avoid justice for the killings, as detectives were unable to connect him to the deaths of Billy and Judith. But these murders also created a pattern that would hold true for Tim and Kelly's later kills. In the meantime, Edward was detained in Pennsylvania once more by 1982, this time for arson, at the age of 49. Still, he was proud of his illicit accomplishments. Edward wrote a letter to the FBI in 1993 asking for his criminal and past records from 19 different locales. These tapes were allegedly meant to be part of a new book he was writing on the criminals he had come into contact with while incarcerated, people like Jimmy Hoffa, Tony Provenzano, and Charles Manson. At 63, Edward killed 3 people in 1996, with the victim being his 25-year-old foster son, Danny Boy Edwards, who had lived with him for 7 years in Burton, Ohio. Danny Boy, a former U.S. Army soldier, had been manipulated by Edward into turning against the Army and returning home. Edward cruelly shot him twice in the face after luring him into the nearby woods. After that, Edward heartlessly dumped Danny Boyle's body in a shallow hole, where it was later found by a hunter who immediately informed the police. Like with these first few killings, Edward spent a few years avoiding justice for killing Danny Boyle. Those who knew Edward well, like his daughter April and son John, characterized him as a very disturbed person. His severe abuse of his wife and kids caused them to run away from home as soon as they could in order to get away from his suffering. Investigators were adamant that Edward matched the archetypal serial killer in every way. Edward's long criminal history, his physical abuse of family members, and the fact that he openly documented his crimes in a book pointed to his narcissistic tendencies. His military experience gave him the ability to tie the knots on the ropes believed to have been used to strangle Kelly. His history of arson further reinforced the perception of him as a controlling and domineering figure. Despite his senior appearance and reliance on a wheelchair and oxygen tank due to his weight, his neighbors in Louisville, Kentucky, remained unaware of the dark mind lurking within him. However, with new evidence from April's comments, investigators now had stronger reason to believe Edward was involved in the killings. When Edward first showed up at his Louisville house, he claimed not to have known about Tim Hack and Kelly Drew's killings. However, he acknowledged seeing the couple and being at the Concord house the night of the killings when pressed further. In addition, he acknowledged that, unlike his earlier assertions, he had not been deer hunting that evening. A saliva swab for DNA testing was approved by Edward, who was optimistic that the results would be exonerating. Still, the results of the DNA test matched the material discovered on Kelly's trousers. When Edward moved into a caravan park in Louisville in 2009, his neighbors got along well with him and were unaware of his troubled past. His true nature didn't come to light until he was transported to Wisconsin and accused of killing Kelly Drew and Tim Hack. During his interrogation, Edward was shown the results of a DNA test, which further connected him to the crimes. His bodily fluids were found on Kelly's clothing, and investigators asked him to explain. Edward stammered and fabricated a story, claiming he had a consensual sexual encounter with Kelly on August 9, 1980. With frenzied gestures, he shifted about in his chair. He sighed and muttered something under his breath, sensing the skepticism of the investigators. Investigators listened to the taped interview several times and remembered the exact moment when Edward whispered, "Danette, I killed her." His fate was sealed with this revelation. Edward chose to enter a guilty plea for the killings of Kelly Drew and Tim Hack. Edward Wayne Edwards was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences in April 2010 after being convicted of the 1980 Sweetheart killings. Wisconsin did not have the death penalty, despite his request to be executed. Phil Waters, a retired homicide detective, noted that Edward had prior prison experience and was well aware of the harsh realities of life behind bars. Not one to accept life in prison quietly, Edward wrote to the Ohio prosecutor's office, threatening to have a needle put in his arm in an attempt to push them to seek the death sentence. In 2010, Edward also confessed to the 1977 murders of Judith Straub and Billy Ervico. However, he was given life sentences for each because the death penalty was not in effect at the time. Still, he had one last revelation to share. In 2011, Edward acknowledged killing Danny Boy Edwards, his foster son, in order to get the life insurance money during an interview in a jailhouse. His plan worked this time, and on March 8, 2011, he was given the death penalty for the murder of Danny Boy Edward. Investigators surmise that Edward may have had 9 to 15 unidentified victims despite his conviction for 5 murders. Detective Chad Garcia from the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, one of the investigators in the Sweetheart murders, suggested that Edward may have been responsible for 15 other murders, including the Zodiac killings. In the Peyton Allen files, author Phil Stanford proposed that Edward could have been behind the 1960 murders of Beverly Allen and Larry Peyton in Portland, Oregon. While these claims remain unsubstantiated, retired murder detective John Cameron believed Edward was responsible for the Zodiac killings and other high-profile unsolved crimes. Edward Edwards passed away from natural causes at the age of 77 on April 7, 2011, at the Corrections Medical Center in Columbus, Ohio. His death marked the end of a horrific crime spree that claimed 5 lives and left many others scarred. Edward escaped the August 31, 2011 scheduled execution by lethal injection. The family members of Tim and Kelly did not find comfort in Edward's arrest for their deaths. Kelly's mother, Norma Walker, said that rather than offering closure, Edward's arrest brought back unpleasant memories. David Pym, Pym's father, was relieved that the ordeal was finally ended and expressed gratitude for the DNA evidence linking Edward to the murder. April Bellagio, the daughter of Edward, contributed to the resolution of the cold case and now uses her podcast, The Clearing, to help families of victims whose cases remain unsolved. Kelly Drew and Tim Hack had promising futures ahead of them, but their lives were tragically cut short by Edward Wayne Edwards. The serial killer had no personal vendetta against the pair. Their story is all the more heartbreaking because they were simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Even after Edward's arrest and the conclusion of the prosecutions, the families of Kelly Drew, Tim Hack, and the other victims continued to grapple with the lasting impact of the tragedy. The pain caused by Edward's actions persisted despite the fact that his conviction brought some closure. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed exploring these intriguing unsolved mysteries with me. If you found the video fascinating, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Unsolved Mystique for more deep dives into unsolved mysteries. Your support helps me bring you more compelling content. Leave a comment below with your thoughts or any mysteries you'd like me to cover next. See you in the next video.